Welcome to the maiden edition of It's the Economy. Here's wishing everyone who's watching a fabulous 2024. Well, today we are going to be looking at India's export prospects in 2024. The world is blessed with continued strength in the US economy, but slowdown otherwise. A recession-prone Europe, property sector hit to China, and of course, war in the Middle East continuing to have ripples. In the latest news, Houthi rebels in the Red Sea have attacked a Singapore-flagged Maersk container, which has led the US military to sinking 3 Houthi boats. But for global trade, the worry is Maersk, which was one of the few global containers that continued to use the Red Sea, has pulled out its ships from the Red Sea for at least the next 48 hours. The world now possibly stares at 25% higher freight costs because of the Red Sea attacks. How will the near term and the longer term pan out for Indian exports in 2024? That's what we're asking our experts today. Professor Jayanta Kumar Seal, he's the Professor of Trade at Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, the Kolkata campus, and Ajay Sahai, the Director General and Chief Executive Officer at the FIEO, Federation of Indian Export Organizations. Gentlemen, good morning and a very grand 2024 to you. All our good wishes.
Good morning to you and to a very, very happy new year to everybody.
Okay, Mr. Sahai, let me start with the immediate events. You know, we understand 300 of the 330 ships that were using the Red Sea had already moved out in the last 2 weeks of December and were using the Cape of Good Hope. Maersk was the only one which dared to use the Red Sea. Now they've also announced that they're moving out. What's the impact for us?
No, in fact, there are a number of obvious impact. A lot of exporters are holding back the consignment because they don't want consignment to be robbed or destroyed. Secondly, buyers are also telling the companies to hold back because wherever the contract is on the FOB basis, the freight has to be paid by the buyer. And since freights have slightly jumped and they are in the near future also likely to go up by 50%, they are holding back. Secondly, some of the shipping lines are now taking the longer route of Cape of Good Hope, which is definitely going to add to around 12 to 14 days to the voyage time. And this may help, this may basically affect the availability of container in the short term because the container shortage with a long voyage will be there. But what we are worried about that probably we are looking into a hike in the freight trade, not only for those who are operating this route, but overall increase in hike in freight rate, which 25% will be quite a moderate one. We are expecting it to go much because the kind of quote with the shipping line has given for the January and February, this definitely reflect a significant increase in the freight. So definitely it's a setback to the global trade, which in any case was facing a lot of geopolitical challenges, and probably this will cause a lot of logistic disruption also.
Okay, much higher than 25%, how much would it be?
We are expecting to go to around 50%.
Oh, okay. Dr. Seal, to you as well, a very happy new year.
I don't see
your
that 25%. So what we have just collected, so freight charges to Yemen has gone up to $2,400 per container from $850 per container.
Oh.
Similarly, Jeddah. So we export a lot of basmati rice to Middle East and especially Saudi Arabia. So it has gone up from $300 to $1,500 per container.
Shit.
And Durban, South Africa, so from $700 to $1,200 per container. So what two of you are talking about 25%, it's not exactly 25%. It's much more than that, especially, for us, it's going to be a big challenge. And not only that, it has created some other problem in the domestic market also, since, basmati export has gone down. So naturally, price in the domestic market has also gone down. Okay, because the supply in the domestic market has gone down. So on the other side, sunflower, which is another thing which we import, that domestic market, the prices are expected to go up.
Oh. Okay.
So because there is a problem
oil.
of sunflower oil.
Yeah, sundrop would be a problem. Mr. Sahai, probably what you're saying is that the rates are very high, but people are staying away. they're not contracting. Do you think they can do that for long, or people will have to pitch in with higher rates?
Look into where we are seeing a significant jump in freight rate and where we are seeing the overall increase in the freight rate. What Professor said, I go along with him, because if you are using the Red Sea for supplying to a bordering country on the Middle East or in Africa or for the Europe or to some extent the east coast of US, prices may go up significantly, may go up to 75 to 100%. But overall increase in the freight rate is also seems to be on the card, because I don't think on the Red Sea, the shipping companies will be confident to start the sailing, because that may take some time. Even if one sporadic event happens, they will be holding back. Secondly, the increase in the risk insurance will be substantially high on these rates, both for the ships and even those exporters who are taking the marine cargo insurance. So from that perspective, a significant rise on this route and overall increase in the freight is also on the card. Secondly, I think we have to look into what are the type of contract. If there's a C&F and CF contract, probably the buyers will be forcing, or rather they will be telling the exporter to ship the goods. Where it's FOB contract, they will be asking to hold the books. And it's a difficult situation for both the sides. So in short, it is definitely going to have a little impact, little interruption in the trade. How quickly we can bounce back will tell what will be the scenario in 2024.
Okay. So that question to you, Professor Seal, is it like we are going to see a one-quarter disruption, or do you think that I know I'm asking you a geopolitical question here, but what is the sense you are getting?
Just add one point which Dr. Sahai pointed out. See, insurance has gone up from 0.2% to 0.5%, which is quite a big jump. Okay, so the overall cost is going to go up. Now, India has already sent, some ships there, and America is also, attacking, because today, just now you started with, there is a Singapore-based ship which is attacked. Now, incidentally, since America has entered, hopefully Iran and Russia, which are indirectly supporting these, Houthi rebels. So hopefully Russia and Iran, they are not going to participate directly. But if they do, that will be a disaster. And so around 10% of the global fuel which comes from Red Sea. So just beside that, if you see the Gulf of Aden, so 25% of the world oil comes from Gulf of Aden. Now, Iran is sitting there. So if Iran, it's a critical case. If Iran also participates in the war, so that will be a disaster. So, and India, buys so much of oil. And one good thing, just we started with, the crude oil prices have gone down. One good thing is America has lifted some sanctions from Venezuela. So some Venezuelan oil is also coming to the market. So that's a good thing for us.
Okay. Yeah. Crude prices are at the moment at whatever, $77. So that is a very big relief. But Professor Seal, if you can just look down further for the rest of 2024, one hopes these disruptions are temporary. But as you say, the insurance and as Sahai said, the freight rates could be worse for the longer term. What is your sense about India's export performance for the rest of 2024? Are we likely to linger around this $33 billion per month for goods and about $28 billion for services? Or do you think that the year can be better?
See, my expectation is will definitely be better, because this cannot carry on for a long period of time. Okay, because India has already sent ships there, and it is taking a lot of actions. Okay, because that's a lifeline. Okay, this is one part. And if you talk about services, services for that probably you don't need Red Sea. But however, if your other trades are disrupted, services will also be disrupted. Now, India's service sector, one good hope, what do we see? You started with US is the only hope now. Europe is in a recession. But one good thing you will definitely appreciate that we have already signed a deal with Australia. So that's going to work well with us. Any day we can sign a deal with UK. and Singapore is also in the pipeline. We have already entered into services contract with trade contract with Middle East and many of the other countries in the Southeast Asia. Now, though our competitors are coming up, only thing is I see Vietnam, Cambodia, these are all small countries. Scale wise, we can always scale wise. In fact, like China. So China manufacturing, they beat everybody in scale. So scale wise, I don't think these countries will be our competitor.
So your export
I think we have a
expectation this year would be what, 5%, 10%?
If you ask me, I will say 5%.
Okay.
10 will be slightly, because it depends upon the global economy also.
I agree. And then we are seeing higher interest rates. Mr. Sahai, similar question to you. What are the early orders looking like despite these higher costs? What might you say would be the export growth in 2024?
Ma'am, I'm looking into the overall growth of around 3 to 4%. Last year in goods and services, we landed at $777 billion. This year, we are looking into $800 billion. There may be little dip in the merchandise sector, maybe 3 to 4%. But in the services sector, we are expecting around 14 to 15% growth. The good thing is that imports have also been subdued, and therefore we are looking into huge drop in the trade deficit. In fact, the trade deficit we expect this year to be lower than $100 billion. And that will be significant rate, because once we have the trade deficit coming down, probably the current account deficit, which everyone expect to be around 1.8%, will come down to around 1.5 to 1.6%. So overall, it's not a good, bad thing. And when you're looking into India's exports in comparison with other countries, probably we are doing much better. Many of our competitors are constantly showing the double-digit dip in exports. And therefore, it's a good performance. Of course, once we will have the backing of the better FTA and PLI scheme fully operating, probably we will have much more wherewithal in the manufacturing to support our exports.
Okay. Well, we will have to discuss the PLI scheme in another show. It's beyond the bounds. We are out of time here. But Mr. Sahai and Professor Seal, thank you very much for enlightening us. Near-term problems are pretty steep as far as freight rates and insurance rates go in the Red Sea, and that's a lifeline for India. But for the medium term, that is for 2024 itself, things should improve. But the export performance only expected to be about 3 to 5%. So it's not much that exports will contribute to India's GDP. It has to be domestically driven. On that note, thank you very much for joining us on this maiden edition of It's the Economy in 2024. Have a great year ahead, all of you. We wrap up on Bazaar. Chartbusters up next.